Darrell, just tell us then where you're up to with the COVID situation now. Where you're up to? Can you say in terms of infections and stuff where you are and how have things been over the last few days?
Yeah, no problem, Phil. Obviously, it's been a difficult time as it has for ourselves and most clubs. But as of today, we haven't got any players isolating, any staff having COVID or players having COVID as things stands. But as we know, it's an ever moving situation. But today we're in a good place.
Has it made things a bit different, say, when it comes to team selection, without giving anything away? Because I know you operate with the full squad, so without knowing who's going to be available, has it made it a little bit more challenging to work out plans and such?
It has, but you still work way around it. You've got to adapt as a manager in these challenging circumstances, and that's what we've done. The players, it gives us opportunity to get some players' fitness levels up, and one or two hopefully coming back from injury and not missing the games that they would have missed. So there's been one or two positives, but with regard having your full squad training and everybody being accountable to be able to work on stuff, it's been obviously difficult. But every club's in the same situation.
On the flip side of that, though, has it given some of the players who are perhaps carrying knocks or injuries and such, again, without specifics, but has it given some of them a little bit of extra time to get some of the rehab work done?
Well, what it does is it obviously the games being postponed enables them that they don't miss as many games. The players will come back. We try and get our players obviously back as quickly as possible when they're fit and ready to go. So we've got a good medical team here at the football club. So we the bonus of that is that one or two we're going to miss those 3 games of obviously going to hopefully be able to play in those when the games are rearranged.
What about the strength and the conditioning, the fitness work? I know you've talked about the staff before, but has that been particularly important now when you've not got games to keep those levels up for players who would have been playing had you not had the postponements?
Yeah, certainly, but it's also been a chance to get a bit of a rest. In what I say by rest is they haven't been sat at home eating the Christmas turkey, that's for sure. But making sure you monitor the sprint distances and the work they're doing in training. You've always got a mixed bag in your squad of players that have played a lot of minutes and then players that haven't played the minutes, then players coming back from injury. So we assess that obviously on a weekly and a daily basis, to be honest with you, and making sure that the players who needed a bit of a recharge wasn't doing as much as some players that are all coming back from fitness.
Are you one of those managers who, checks his phone and says, "Oh, that game's off, that game's off"? Has this kind of been a really weird period to be a football manager because you're looking at the postponements just as much, perhaps, as the rest of us are?
Yeah, but for me, I'm pretty demanding that we prepare that we're playing. We was ready for the Rochdale game. There's nothing we could have done about the previous 2 with our injury and COVID situation, but we was ready to go for Rochdale. We'll be ready to go for Harrogate. And that's important for me that the players have that focus and staff have that focus to make sure that we have to be ready. We can't control what happens at other football clubs, but we can make sure that we try and prepare as professionally as possible, and which we have done.
It will lead to a bit of fixture congestion, though, but strangers to that, given the past few weeks, because up until just before Christmas, you were playing virtually Saturday, Tuesday every week for a month or so.
It has, yeah, and to be fair, with COVID, he's been around a little bit now, and the season was congested last season, wasn't it, in a shorter period? So you get used to managing games that are coming in quick succession.
Just finally then, obviously the opposition you've already beaten this season, but they're still up and around there and they're doing pretty well. I always ask you this, but what type of game are you expecting from them?
Like you said, they're more than holding their own. They have ambitions like every other club. Most of our clubs in our league, they want to get in that top 7. They're not a million miles away. Manager I've got massive respect for. Simon, he's a top manager and doing a cracking job there. And any team that you play at this level, if you're not on your game, you can come unstuck. So, like I said, we prepared right. We're prepared. We're travelling tomorrow, so there's no New Year's Eve celebrations for my boys because we'll be in a hotel, and we're doing everything we possibly can to prep right.
Cheers, Darrell. Thank you.
Darrell, George, can I ask you the question about the competitive edge of your game? Is it difficult because you've had no competitive game to replicate it into training, or is that something you don't take into account?
Well, my players will probably be happy for the next game to come along, because I've been very frustrated, because I only remember our last game, which I thought was poor at Newport away. So they've had a lot of frustration out of the manager and the staff, because you can only put that right in the next game. And I think it'll be some like 21 days if the Harrogate game, obviously if we play the Harrogate game, where we haven't had a game, and that's a long time in football, 3 weeks to not have a game, and certainly on the bad of one of our poorer performances.
But you certainly don't leave any stone unturned. You do go into it with that in mind. You are going to play, but it's disappointing when you are at the last hour or so, or last few hours, you don't get the game. That's really frustrating, having built up to it, Darrell, isn't it?
It is, George, but there's a lot more people worse off than football managers and football players in the world. We just crack on. We get on with it. It's challenging times, not just for ourselves. It's challenging times for everybody in the country, around the world. So we get on with it. You have to, we all like a moan and a whinge, but like I said, there's a lot worse things that can be happening than prepping for a game and then getting it called off.
And as you go into this game, you're in a good position, Darrell. I know you've told us many, many times you don't look at the league table until we're going into the last week, but you are in a good position going into the turn of the year, aren't you?
Yeah, I do look at the league table, George. And what I will say is if you focus on the performances, the league table takes care of itself. I'll be sitting here lying to say to you, I never look at a league table. Yeah, we're in a healthy position. There's still 75 points to play for. There's a lot of points to be played. There's a lot more twists and turns through the season. We're not even halfway through the season yet. So we're in a healthy position. But we want to make sure our next performance, which is Harrogate games, a good performance, and hopefully we can take the points.